irrespective of what happens, I am going to contest the election.
Oh.
I mean, the stolen election.
That's right.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mr. Chairman, you want me to read the script? As you froze.
Yeah, I tried to open it and nothing was happening, nothing was happening, nothing was happening, and finally it connected. And if you read the Cape Cod Times, one of the things I whined about was the connection with Comcast, how lousy it is.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, I'll go ahead and read the
Okay,
script.
so
Pursuant to Governor
Kyle-
Baker's March 12th, 2020
Yeah.
order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and the governor's March 23rd, 2020 order and imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Yarmouth Community and Economic Development Committee is being conducted via remote participation. All votes during this meeting will need to be conducted by roll call. No in-person attendance will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access and participate in the proceedings as provided for in the order. Public participation will be permitted by allowing members of the public to join this meeting via Zoom or via the telephone. And Mr. Chairman, you can just take a roll call vote to enter into a meeting quorum to begin.
Jack, are you here?
I'm here.
Ken, are you here?
I'm here.
Joanne, are you here?
Yes, I am, sir.
Steve, are you here?
Here.
And I'm here, Peter Smith. So looking around, we have sufficient number for a quorum, so I call the meeting to order.
Ryan and Mary did say they weren't going to be able to make it.
Right, yeah, I saw that from Ryan. So if you could do your staff updates, Kyle, that'd
Yep.
be great.
Yep, so the first one I already mentioned is that the annual, that the town election is next Tuesday. Polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. And then town meeting on the 22nd. Obviously, it's important to vote for the selectmen at the election, but also we have the two wastewater related questions for the establishment of the WIF and the CPA exemption. So it's important to vote on those. That was already voted and approved at town meeting, and now the town ballot is kind of to make it a fully approved, if you will. Sand sculptures are starting to go up. I don't know if anybody has a suggestion for the sand sculpture at Yarmouth Town Hall. The only one we have so far is from Karen of a mini town hall. But if anybody's got any good suggestions about the one we put out in Yarmouth Town Hall, you can either say it now or think on it and send me an email. It's something we'll have to figure out in the next couple of weeks. The drive-in site is moving along. We literally just sent out the solicitation today to all the people who have previously expressed interest in using the site. So we're the proposal due date is in a couple weeks, and then the selectmen will be reviewing it at probably their meeting on June 8th, and then we'll have public hearings at the end of June. Looking at the first events maybe starting in July. So drive-in site is moving along. And then the last thing I wanted to bring up to the committee was, it seems like it would be a good idea if you guys are available to have another meeting this month, maybe on the 27th. The two things that we'll need to discuss is, as a part of the drive-in site, we're looking to get a snow fence for the perimeter of the site that will be kind of used there for the whole season so that no trash blows into the river there and whatnot. It's not going to be much money, but we were thinking tourism funds would be appropriate to purchase it. And I'll actually go out there and install the damn thing because that's easier than doing the procurement for it. And then the other thing is Robert C. Ibarra contacted me on behalf of the Great Island Plaza. They're making a application for a state grant program. I believe it's called like the One Stop Shop or something like that. He was looking for a letter of support. So I was thinking it wouldn't be a very long meeting, but I was thinking maybe a meeting on the 27th in 2 weeks for those couple items. That'd be a good idea if you guys are free.
Hey, Mr. Chair, can I make a suggestion to save the meeting that we take a vote right now on both those items? Because I'd be in fully support of both of them. So
the problem is I'm not sure of the funding yet for snow fencing, Ken. I haven't gotten that information. And you know, like I said, it should be a pretty quick meeting, but I think I need to actually get you more information, you know.
I'm available on the 27th.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Joanna, you?
Yes, I am.
available on the 27th? Okay.
yeah, I mean, Mr. Chair, I'm available. Just those two items. So they'd both be yes, as far as I'm concerned. can we do it just by an online vote? Does it have to be an actual meeting?
It should be posted for open meeting law and whatnot.
All right,
Yeah, I mean, it's not on, I mean, it's in staff updates, but it's not technically on the, I mean, it is on the agenda, but it's not really on the agenda. And because it's a money item,
Yeah.
I think it should be discussed at a meeting when Kyle's got a dollar figure. I agree with you. I'm in favor of both of them. But until we have a dollar figure. you know, hard
Understood.
to say. And,
understood.
right. Anybody else have any comments on that? And-
Yeah, I want to know, I'm in favor too. I just want to know why other resources can't be used for the snow fence for that project instead of our funds. And the reason behind that whole thing is not that I'm against it, is that I'm really focused on the common and wanting to do some things there to
Yeah.
to help out.
There really is. I think the answer is there really aren't any like dedicated funds for this kind of purpose.
Right.
And it's not going to be much money at all. Like I'm thinking it's
No,
like a couple hundred maybe, you know.
Oh.
And we do have money in reserve that we had dedicated for the drive-in site that we didn't use, so.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's also true.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and, yeah, the lights that were gonna be on the bridge, I guess that money's come back if I remember correctly.
Yeah, but like
That's-
Ken was saying, you guys actually have some money in the drive-in site improvement account because you returned the contract for Fifth
Right.
Element, and then we're doing a contract for the sound, but that there was a delta there. So
Right.
um,
And the lights, Peter, that hasn't been fully determined yet, that they don't need our funding yet for the lights. That's still kind of up in the air.
right, a
And
portion
maybe-
got a portion got returned to you, but there's still 20,000 in that account.
Right. There's state roadway funding that could go towards some of that lighting, but they still may need some of that money from us.
Okay, so why don't we, I think we're all in agreement that we schedule a meeting for the 27th at 4 o'clock, correct?
Yep.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and I think everybody already waved and said yes, if that's acceptable. And of course, you'll notify Mary and Ryan.
Yes, I will
Okay.
do that. And moving on, Mr. Chairman, if you're ready to move on to the next item, kind of is also somewhat of a staff update. So this was in your packet from Mr. Lawton. Basically, the Chamber of Commerce has been selling those beach stickers, but it's kind of, taken a lot of additional manpower for them to be able to do that. So the town reached an agreement for them to continue to do that, but they'd have to increase the amount through their contract by 5,000. The one piece of correspondence we got from Ryan on this was, why wouldn't this be paid out of the beach sticker revenue? And I did forward that to Mr. Lawton, but we didn't get a response. I think the response is that it's kind of not as simple as, beach sticker revenue is used for beach stuff. I think that kind of goes into like a general fund or something like that. They're kind of siloed. I'm not a municipal finance expert, so I don't know. But so basically the request before you tonight is to allocate an additional $5,000 from unallocated funding for the marketing contract with the Chamber of Commerce.
You need a motion?
Would need a motion, and
yeah,
this
we
is,
would
I
definitely-
also included the budget in your packet, so you'd see you do have 64,000 and change in unallocated.
Right.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Chair,
We gotta
can
have
I
a
ask a question here, Mr. Chair?
No, you can't. We got to get a second, then you can ask as many
I
questions.
second it.
I got questions too.
I'll
Yeah.
second the motion, but I will notice that
So we got a
everybody
motion,
likes
we
to
got a
take a
second.
crack at
Now,
our
Ken,
funds.
questions? Ken, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, I just was waiting for everyone to start. I don't have a problem with it. I do and I don't. I guess I don't have a problem with it for right now, understanding the labor situation at the chamber. But my feeling about it though, is that $5,000 just gonna, every year that just like, they're gonna keep coming back for another $5,000 every year for us to staff the chamber to sell beach stickers? I don't know. I understand why they need it because they don't have any staffing right now. But I don't know if that's up to us to be staffing the chambers coffers every single year to staff somebody to be able to sell beach stickers. Is just my quick comment to it, Peter.
Jack, you had a question?
No, I just wanted to make the observation that anytime anybody needs some extra funds, they always like our fund.
Mhm.
Steve, you
I was
got,
just gonna say, based on what Ken was saying, maybe amend my motion to indicate this is a one-shot deal.
I'll second
Okay.
that change.
Would that help out, Ken?
That would help me out with my feelings tremendously. Yes.
yeah, okay, my comment is just like Jack's. If somebody needs money, oh, CEDC's got money.
Hmm.
And I don't think we really want to set a precedent that they're coming to us for every nickel and dime.
That was my point, Peter.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, I'm only one person, so I mean, you guys decide. Steve, you clearly got.
No, well, my next question then would be, what's the hurry? Can we get more information on this then? From the town manager and take it from there? Because I agree with all you guys. From my own perspective, I have some ideas on where I would like to use not our money, but the CEDs, the tourism money, for some projects in town. And I don't like this nitpicking away at it. So
Joanne, you got a question? And you're on mute, by the way.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The request is a little thin. They're talking about an agreement that they need an increase for. What's the base agreement that the town has with the chamber outside of us? Is there some other beach sticker contract that they have?
Yeah. Peter, can I answer that? Because
Yep,
I am aware of the agreement. I was on the chamber board, just so everybody knows. And there's annually an agreement, and it is a written agreement between the town and the Yarmouth Chamber that they will sell beach and disposal stickers on Saturdays, actually 6 days a week, because they do sell them on Saturdays where town hall is closed on Saturdays, and that they would have somebody on staff to sell them specifically on Saturdays. That was the kind of the whole precipice of them starting to do it. So there was availability on weekends for somebody to buy a beach sticker, a year sticker, or even a 10-day pass, when somebody comes down on vacation, and then disposal stickers. And it's a written agreement between the town and the chamber, and they renew it annually. I think it's just a piece of paper, that they just sign off on that they'll do it. And I always was under the understanding that it was part of the, it was just part of the goodwill between the chamber and the town. It wasn't a cost associated to the chamber. They were passing back. I understand, because trust me, every business on Cape Cod is having staffing issues. So I understand Mary's predicament. I have a problem with it just, asking for $5,000 and having it become all of a sudden in perpetuity. We're just adding $5,000 to it. I'd feel a lot more comfortable with it being a one-time investment in the chamber and not just another $5,000 we're dumping out. Because you're exactly right, Peter. Every time somebody needs money, they're coming to us for money. So eventually we're going to run out of money to do stuff we want to do too.
So if I understand, you can, the agreement that they have on the sale of the beach stickers, there isn't a base amount there. They do it gratis as a collaboration with the town to help, they get customers in there at the chamber, and the people that the town gets the benefit of having an extra day on the street.
I've never seen the physical contract. I just knew that there was one,
Yeah.
an agreement. It's not a contract, an agreement between
Yeah.
the town and the chamber. As far as gratis, or if there was a base funding amount, I'm not aware of any, other than I just know that the chamber and the town had agreed to partner on the sale of the stickers and stuff. And the agreement was that there would be somebody there on Saturdays, that they would sell them on Saturdays. And, that was specifically written in it, so that the town could say, hey, look, you want a beach sticker on a Saturday when you're not working? go to the chamber office to pick it up. That's how the whole thing got started. It got started years ago under Bob Dubois, when that was well before Mary was running the Yarmouth Chamber.
Yeah, I remember when it started, to be absolutely honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was sometime in the 90s.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to know you do have a member of the public seeking recognition. It's up to you whether or not you
Oh,
wanna
absolutely.
recognize.
Mr. Nicolau, absolutely. Yeah. Speak. Sir, you're on mute. Tom? Oh, there you go.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Tom Nicanello, President of the Chamber currently. And I'd just like to say to the points that were brought up this year, we have done a yeoman's job on satisfying the public with their needs for our disposal and their beach stickers. On the average, the Chamber of Commerce does just a little bit over 500 stickers per year. And right now we're over 750. And the reason that is because Town Hall has been closed.
Right.
And
Okay.
some of our residents are very displeased about the electronic dispatch of the beach and dump sticker because it takes over 2 months. So I believe to the question that was rose that it will be an ongoing thing. I do not see that unless Town Hall plans to be closed for a long time. So I don't think that's going to happen. So it's just for the season because, like I said, the influx of the people coming to the chamber, which is very satisfying for us because a lot of these people have never been into the office of the Chamber of Commerce. So we welcome it very much, but it has put a strain on the operations of the chamber this year because I believe in 1 week they did 73 stickers. And so it's, like I said, the average per year is over 500 and they've gone over 750 now. So thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for allowing me to speak. And may I say, if you are elected next week, I don't know who's going to be here in the week. So thank you very much.
Tom, and thank you for your comments. That clarifies a whole bunch for me.
Yeah.
It does. Yep.
I think I'd leave.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you,
you.
Tom.
Are there?
Mr. Chairman, I think
I'm sorry,
that,
Jack, you've got the floor.
I think that lends more credence to the amendment that Steve suggested, that this be a one-time thing only.
Kyle, is it possible for us to see the agreement?
Yeah, I don't see why not. I'm not even aware of its existence. I'll be honest, I don't have much information on this request. I kind of just forwarded it along.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm also not sure of how timely it needs to be, but if you guys want more information, maybe we could add this to your meeting on the 27th. I mean, it's up to you. It's your fund. So if you don't feel comfortable voting on it, even if the town says they need it by a certain time, it's up to you. You guys gotta be comfortable with whatever you vote on.
Mr. Chair, the
You got the floor.
agreement's probably from the 1990s, truly. It started with Bob Dubois. That's how long ago.
Right.
So I doubt that they'd probably be able to even put their hands on one, to be honest with you. And it just kept on going year after year ever since then. I mean, while I was there, we, on the chamber board, we knew that, it was part of the arrangement and agreement between the town and the chamber. I'll just say for myself, I'm perfectly comfortable with Steve's amendment as a one-time, payout. And based on Tom's comments, that town hall is closed and, having to the, general public, it certainly makes a lot more sense based on that. And I'd have no problem being a second onto Steve's amendment of a one-time payout.
Steve, you had your hand up?
Yeah, the only thing I was just gonna add to what Ken was saying is two things. One, Town Hall is still closed and right around the corner is Memorial Day, right? So people are gearing up for getting their stickers for that weekend and kicking off the rest of the summer. So based upon what Tom was saying, I'm okay to move things forward.
Okay, so Joanne?
I just one other question. Since this seems like it was a service that the town was unable to provide adequately, and they had a fallback position to help have the chamber fill in where they couldn't. Did the town try to find its own money In their large budget of 5,000 to accommodate this? We don't know. I know we don't know the answer to that. But, it goes to the heart of what we've been talking about, that, oh yeah, CEDC's got money. Let's go there.
Yeah.
So we can't set any precedent, I don't think, for town services falling behind because of COVID, legitimate excuses and reasoning that we've all faced, but we can't be the backstop for all these kinds of, if you will, diminished services that the town couldn't find a way to pay for. I'm curious as to why there wasn't 5,000 in the budget of the town. That would be my only question,
Are there,
which I can't answer.
Yeah, sorry, I think I
That's
don't know
okay.
the answer to that.
That's okay. I know we're trying to get through this. I apologize.
No, no, good question.
right, I mean, are there any more questions? Are we ready to put this to a vote then? I don't see a lot of
Yes.
enthusiasm. Ken says
Yes.
yes, Steve says yes, okay. So let's call for a vote, and again, it's got to be roll call. Steve? Aye.
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Joanne? Yes.
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes,
Peter? No. I believe the motion carries, though. And again, you've got it, Kyle. It's
I'm muted. That was to approve the transfer, but to emphasize that it's a one-time.
a one-time, right?
Yeah.
And again, my no vote is, I think it's a legitimate request, but as Joanne said, we're not the piggy bank.
Mm-hmm.
And we definitely do not want to be the piggy bank. And Joanne, you put it very succinctly in a way that I didn't think of. The town failed, and now they're coming to us to bail them out. And again, COVID is legitimate, and I understand that. I understand, why it's closed and stuff, but they should have thought about that, because maybe there's town employees that were doing other things instead of selling the tickets. Stuff. And as Mr. Nicanello said, I purchased my stuff online, and the first year it took forever. This year it seemed to work out pretty well, though it was about 30 days from my submission till I received the stuff.
The process this year was troubled. I have my own personal stories with it, but I think the most important thing that, not to substantiate why I voted yes, was Steve's comment that this is about the public. This is about the people who live in town and our guests and our tourists, and we need to be in the best position to help them.
Right.
So the town, thank goodness we're able to help out this way. So
Yep.
I think that was a very good comment by Steve. It's all about the people who are trying to get the.
And again, I very much appreciate Mr. Nicanello's comments and stuff like that.
Yes.
Because it has put a burden on the chamber. So again, my negative vote is not against the chamber, it's against the town, frankly. Mr. Kyle, anything else that you want to bring up? Because you said you'd have to leave at 5:30, correct?
Yeah, more like probably like 5:15-ish, but yeah. So there's nothing else I need to bring up. The rest of the meeting is devoted to your guys' discussion on the goals.
Right.
Let me just pull that up. I don't know if anybody can continue to share it after I leave would be good. But I believe what the committee's goal for this meeting, the main goal is, we got the goals, we have the action items associated with them. Now it's time to kind of prioritize them in terms of what we want to tackle in the short term versus the long term.
Right. And before we move on to this, Steve brought up the common. I've read this stuff, and frankly, I don't understand a lot of it. But maybe we could, is that too big of a topic to put on our next meeting as well?
We could.
Steve, what do you think?
That's fine. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't want that just to fall by the wayside, because I think it's an important one. And, you know, if it looks like it's too big, it needs to get on an agenda soon.
I mean, what we were gonna do, Peter, was take everybody's comments, which I've only gotten them from Joanne and Steve. So I was gonna take them and compile them and send them to Jeff, the DPW, for his consideration. But if you guys would kind of like to discuss before we submit to Jeff, we can
Yeah,
definitely do that.
Again, I've read them a couple of times, and again, when I say I don't understand some of the comments, I do not understand the comments. You know, they say, well, we can't do this because it puts money into the wetlands. I understand that.
Yeah.
Well, if everybody else is comfortable with it, you know, we can go on, but I'm not smart enough to completely understand. And I'd love to discuss it, you know, through the entire committee, if that's all right with everybody.
No,
Sure.
that's great. I think the more we talk about it, the more it's going to stay at the forefront.
Yeah.
For discussion purposes. And where I'm coming from is, you know, shame on us, shame on the towns if we can't protect and beautify and maintain our own town common, what the heck we doing here?
Yeah.
So and it seems like we have some easier solutions and less expensive solutions than some of these longer term things. And the approach, quite frankly, that I was looking for is let's try some of these smaller things first and see how they go. And not do anything as far as removing any trees or shrubs from the common at all. Keep things the way they are. But I think there's some things that can be done around the site that would prevent some stormwater runoff from going on the site. That could be done less expensively than some of these other things. And, you know, you give an assignment to a firm and their goal is to give you an answer, but give you an answer that keeps their contract going, right? So I think to your point, Peter, I think the more we discuss it and keep it in the forefront, it's going to be in the forefront of the DPW director and some of the other things that he is working on too.
Fantastic. So Carl, if you get it on the agenda for our next meeting too, that would be
Yep,
that would be great.
Definitely.
Okay, goals. Let's talk about goals. That's on the agenda. Okay, I'm looking for my glasses around my face. That's why I can't find them.
Hey, Kyle, thank you. I was just gonna ask, can you increase the font size a little bit? Perfect.
There you go.
We'll go like line by line so that it's easier to read.
Yeah. Oversee optimized tourism preservation fund. Any creative solution should be explored to incentivize private property beautification. Review budget items on a monthly basis. Explore blight removal.
This kind of overall goal is just, you know, are there more creative ways that you guys can be looking at the tourism revenue preservation fund and to utilize it? So, you know, stuff like we've talked about in the past about blight removal. This is kind of more of like a, you know, philosophical goal than like a concrete one. It's, you know, always kind of be like, I don't really, you know, blight removal, unless you want to make that like a concrete goal. This is kind of more so just like an overarching goal, if you will.
It's
Yeah, and you're muted if you're trying to talk.
me.
Oh,
I was talking to my daughter for a
oh
second.
sorry.
On blight, you know, I drive down 28 and some other places and see what I consider blight. But is there a definition of blight? Is there a definition that we can look at?
Well, where we kind of, you know, left that topic was we were going to talk to Mary Wagon about it.
Yeah.
Because there is already a town program that deals with blight removal through CDBG. So we were gonna discuss how we could possibly supplement that, and we've just gotten too busy. And frankly, it's not something I can probably tackle as a big lift until after the drive-in site season's over. Now that I'm the point person for the drive-in site, because that's going to be a lot of work.
Yeah.
So I would say this is kind of more of like a long-term goal.
Anybody else have any comments on this one? I think it's a good idea, but what can we do?
Well, I think it's long-term, Kyle, but I also think it ties into the bullet point above on the right there, review budget updates on a monthly basis. So
Yeah.
as we had Mary Ann a while ago, and she gave us some thoughts and ideas, we might be able to tackle something that's a blighted area of town for a short period of time. Bigger things might take a year or two out that we can look at and explore. So I don't have a problem with that. And yes, there is a blight removal of a blight definition, Peter, and it's found in the CDBG regs that Mary probably can update us on next time.
Okay, next item is review and evaluate special events program, which is something that we've talked about several times.
Yep.
Should the special events be cut and or eliminated? And obviously, if it's left in place, any changes to the application or the process? I think the application that we used this year was the best that we've done, in my opinion. And again, you know, not having to have everybody come in and discuss something that they're going to be continuing to do. If we eliminate it, this is going to leave some folks, you know, I'm going to say the St. Patrick's Day Parade as an example, because they have no income and it's all expense. So if we eliminate it, do we think that there's going to be private funding to keep that going? Because I think it's one of the important things. So I've often been the one saying that we should cut this thing back or eliminate it. Now I'm making the argument that, you know, it needs to be in place. So who knows?
I mean,
Have any thoughts on cut back or eliminated, Ken?
Peter, I certainly, you know, there's a fine line to walk. And totally agree with you. You know, if you look at the St. Patty's Day Parade or the Seaside Festival, there's no way that they could generate enough money to keep those events going privately.
Yeah.
On their own. You know, there isn't enough private funding out there that for an event like that to be able to do it. I just, you know, my concern is, you know, and I thought this year was probably, since I've been on the CDC, has been the best amount of, you know, the least amount of time and the most useful amount of time that I think we've spent on that funding, because it didn't become 3 months worth of a time suck for us.
Yeah.
And, you know, I thought we did it very efficiently this year or last year, the end of last year, than in previous years. I just have a concern that we just keep seeing the same events and the same people coming forth every single year. And I do think that, you know, there are a lot of other events that potentially could have happened and have just gone by the wayside, that have said, you know, why am I going to go through all this trouble to ask for funding? So it's kind of a catch-22, you know, and I don't know, you know, other than the fact that we just need to continue to look at it and really evaluate, is it the best utilization of the money? That's all. That's just my concern. You know, I look at, you know, I'll use Provincetown as the example. They've basically said, no, they're not going to fund out of tourism funding this type of events anymore. They're going to use it towards marketing and town improvements. And is that the best way to go? I don't know. But, you know, as tax dollars are coming into our coffers, we need to just watch out for how we're spending them. That's all. I guess that's my point.
I talked to Kyle week, maybe 10 days ago, about the Chamber of Commerce contract, and in there, you know, they give us some good information each review time, and I'm sure everybody's read that, you know, the current one. But I said I want to start to see year over year to prove that the money that we're spending makes sense. And again, this would you know, kind of go for the you know, for the special events. I mean, are there less, again, I'm anybody listening on the St. Patrick's Day Parade, I'm only picking on them because it's front of mind. Are there less people going to St. Patrick's Day parade? Are there less people staying in the motels that are open? You know, is the event improving or is it starting to fall apart? You know, I think we're gonna have to really start to see year over year. Money's getting tighter and I don't think it's gonna get any looser. So, you know, I think we need to be able to demonstrate that the dollars that we spend are bringing good stuff to the town. And in some respects, you know, we're also supposed to bring stuff that's good for the residents and not necessarily just good for the businesses. So, you know, does the St. Patrick's Day parade create pride in the town? Does the fall event bring pride to the town? I think those are important too. And those are squishy things, but they're hard to quantify. But, you know, I do think we need to start to see some year over year stuff so we can demonstrate that we're using the money in a very good way. You know, obviously, if you do physical improvements, you can see, you can touch it and feel it. And again, you know, when somebody asks me, says, well, what the hell do you guys do besides, you know, fund events? And I point to Packett's Landing, and you know, we weren't the only funding source there, but you know, I think it's something that everybody can see, and I've never heard one negative comment about that at all. There were negative comments while it was being discussed, but now that it's here, I think everybody likes it, and it's you know, a lot of townspeople use it for you know, picnics and the like, and a lot of visitors use it as well. And it's got a great view, and it's much nicer than what the town of Dennis did right on the other side of the Bass River Bridge.
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Yes, Mr. McCormick.
maybe it would be a good idea if we took another look back at the actual agreement that created the fund and what it said about what it should be used for.
That's a good idea. We usually when we come up on the special events, Kyle parades that out for us, and I think it's a good idea to bring that back out again. The bullet point that Kyle has put up here is invite P-Town Tourism to discuss what they do, and I think Ken's got a pretty good handle on it. They used to fund events, lots of events, and now their money is used for marketing and marketing only, and they use some of the money for a marketing person alone. In fact, they've got a couple of people. The last that I saw their budget, and I'm going back about 4 years now, their budget was about 750. So that was enough to hire a person and a part-time person that did nothing but marketing. And I know we give a fair amount of money to the chamber to do marketing, and I think they do a good job. Do we need to increase that? Do we need to insist that there's more marketing? And if you're going to market, what are you marketing? You know, we got beautiful beaches and stuff, but it'd be nice if we could get, again, as we originally discussed when the program opened, to get folks here in the spring, which is a little tougher, and the fall, which is a little less tough because the weather's at least a little bit more consistent in the fall.
I do, Mr. Chairman, I do just want to correct one thing, is that I'm looking at the P-Town website right now. They still do event grants, but they make sure that it's just marketing for the events, and they do that at
That's right.
$100,000 a year still.
I'm sorry, what was the dollar amount, Kyle?
$100,000.
Okay, for events itself. Okay.
But it is just for marketing. That's it. It is not operating budget for the events. It's just to market the event. And they actually control the marketing of the event.
That might be true.
Yeah, I know it's true. The $100,000 that's spent to market events, the marketing has to go through their marketing bureau. It's not given to XYZ event to spend on marketing. The marketing has to be done by their Provincetown Tourism Bureau.
Yeah, and it's to keep the message consistent, keep all the logos consistent, again, work on creating a consistent brand for the town. Right. Any other comments on that? Do we think it's Joanne, I'll recognize you in 1 second. Do you think it's a good idea to invite the P-Town tourist folks to talk to us? I do.
I do.
Yeah.
Okay.
When?
Yeah. So everybody says we can. Kyle, can you set that up? And I agree. Sometime probably in early September.
Early September? All right.
Yeah. Or at their convenience, but I know they're going to be extremely busy over the summertime. So the earliest they could meet would be, I would think after Labor Day.
Yeah.
Right. And their last big event in the fall is Women's Week, which is essentially Columbus Day weekend. So it may be after Columbus Day weekend too. So whatever's convenient with them. And obviously we would do a Zoom, or whatever's convenient, because obviously they're not going to drive down here, and I don't think we're going to drive up there.
You don't want to take a field trip?
I'm more than willing to take a field. I haven't been to Provincetown since yesterday. Okay, so Joanne, I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's all right. I just want to say that I think the special events program is an important part of our work, and should remain in the budget. I think over the last couple of years that I've been here, the application process, the review process has I think has improved and become much more effective. It seems to be, even with the COVID-19, we've managed to do something. I do think, though, that maybe we could strengthen that aspect of the application where they have to evaluate through survey who came, where did they come, did they stay in a hotel, where did they eat? Isn't there a companion survey, Kyle, that they're supposed to be conducted?
Yep.
I recall, right?
Correct.
Maybe there's a way we could strengthen that feedback in terms of its level of importance, and then we would know a little bit more about how effective that particular event was. Because I think we should always be looking to make, our spending on those events as effective as possible. But I do think they are important. I think things like the St. Patrick's Day parade are a singular event on Cape Cod for the town of Yarmouth. Nobody else has that. In a similar way, P-Town has its own brand, multiple brands. But for sure, that one weekend, I think we've all experienced, is one where the business community and residents and tourists alike make it a pretty special event. So I think strengthening how we evaluate how good they are is where we could show some, we probably add some thought to that.
Very good. Steve?
Yeah, very quickly. One, I would like to keep the process the way it is. The one we went through last go around was very succinct, short and sweet, to the point. The second thing is, I agree with Joanne, we need to have this as an asset and supplement some other areas of our program. But the third thing I would say is that I would not like to see any increases to the amount that we allocate out, only because it's not that I don't approve any of these programs. It is because I'm more in tune. I think what you said earlier, Peter, is we can get an equal bang for the dollar if we do participate in some of these other development projects. In other words, if we used our small dollar allocation to leverage other private or public dollars to do a bigger project. Those are my 3 cents worth.
Ken, do you have a comment?
No, I was just fixing my earpiece.
Okay. All right. Jack?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on the fund again and the purpose it was created for. it would be a good idea to find out from Provincetown just how their funds are allocated and where they came from and what kind of agreement they have.
I mean, Peter, I can comment a little bit on that as working, because I work on a Cape Cod Chamber Board with Tony from the Provincetown Visitors Bureau. And their funding started off very similar to what we're doing here. And they just at some point early on decided to go down a different road, and really decided that their most effective bang for the buck was basically creating a mini CVB is what the Provincetown, where their tourism dollars are being spent to promote tourism in town and to help with the beautification of the town for the residents and the visitors. And that's where their money, and that's why they basically spend most of their money on staffing and marketing and some on beautification. But, really their money's being spent on marketing. Probably 70% of all their dollars that they take in are being spent on direct marketing.
How big is their budget?
Peter's correct, and I think it's actually closer to $1 million now, but it's somewhere between 750 and $1 million.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it comes from meals tax and room taxes. A cut very similar to the way ours is set up.
Yep.
Right. Provincetown's got the advantage that they bring in probably more meals tax and rooms taxes than any place else on the Cape, but we've got to be a close second.
On the room side, we probably actually on the room side, Yarmouth probably beats them.
Okay.
On the meals side, they blow everybody else out of the water.
Well, look, they've got some good restaurants up there.
There's some great restaurants up there.
Yeah.
Is this a flat percentage of that money, or is it, ours is only after the amount collected reaches a certain amount, right?
Theirs is a flat percentage taken, so that's why their dollar amount is so much greater.
Okay.
Yeah, and I know when I first started in Provincetown, I'd say the average the ADR up there was probably on the more high end place, about $100. The ADR now is probably approaching $400 right now. So there's a big delta between the Brass Key and some of the places on Route 28.
Right.
And actually some of I'm gonna look at the Darling place. That's very nice, brand new, very well maintained, but they can't garner the same rates as a place that's not quite as nice in Provincetown. That's just the way it is. And anybody this year who is not gonna be making money in the hospitality industry should get out.
Well, the one issue in hospitality is going to hold everybody back is with no help. That's a discussion for another day. So.
Oh my God. One of my customers in Provincetown usually hire anywhere between 60 and 100 people. And they need about 60 and they've got maybe 35. So they're going, it's a couple of guys and they're going, I guess we're going to be chambermaids all summer because we do not have enough help to do all the cleaning and bed changing and cleaning the toilets, et cetera, et cetera. So
the sad part, Peter, is after a year of COVID, and now that we're finally starting to see light at the end of the tunnel here, we're literally, and I'll speak for the company that I'm currently working for, we're literally evaluating every piece of business. We're turning some business away just knowing that we won't be able to service it correctly. And that's really sad. It pains me to even say that, but it's because of the help situation.
Yep. Yeah. Okay, you're right. That's a discussion for another day.
Yep.
Develop plan for broadband. Oh, I'm sorry. Are we through with this on this one? Should we go to the next one? I'm sorry. I'm kind of
better, or we'll never get through.
Yeah. Okay. Develop plan for physical improvement. Develop drive-in site as a venue for top priority. I agree with that. I just worry that, are you the point person to coordinate everything now, Kyle, on the drive-in? You're not talking. You may be talking, but you
It's tough
must.
to unmute yourself when you're also shared the screen because the mute thing goes away. I don't know what the hell
Right.
is up with that. But I'm the point person for this summer for events, but I don't know what
Okay.
you mean by point person.
Well, I'm talking about for the final development of the site. I'm worried, and I've heard comments for some other folks that who's in charge? Who's on first?
Kathy Williams would be the person in charge of the development of the Riverwalk Park and Boardwalk.
Okay, so she's the clerk of the works for the whole kit and caboodle outside of events then.
Yeah, more or less. She's town planner, so yeah.
Okay.
That's her project, though, the Riverwalk Park and Boardwalk.
Okay. Invest in tangible improvements such as beautification team and streetscape updates. Are they going to be able to hire a beautification team this year? Do we have any idea?
I don't think they've gotten many applicants so far.
Yeah.
Jeff did mention that he was appreciative of Ken's suggestion about the 17-year-old, but the problem is 17-year-old can't work by himself. He needs somebody over 18 to be like
Right.
the crew leader, if you will. And they haven't gotten any. Sounds like they don't get the people. They've gotten like 2 applications for like seasonal workers, and that's for like all of DPW, not just for the beautification team. And basically
Wow.
those people say, yeah, we'll work for like $30 an hour. And they're like, no, we can't do that. So then so they haven't gotten anybody. So it's going to be extremely difficult to fill those positions, it seems.
That's too bad, because the gentleman and the lady who were the beautification team a couple of years ago that worked 2 summers, they did a great job. Oh, well.
Yeah, I think he's still going to keep at it, but it's not just a Town of Yarmouth thing. It's not just a Cape Cod thing. It's a problem
Right.
across the United States of America. So
Right.
Yep.
If you drive up and down 28 and look at the businesses, almost everybody's got a help wanted sign out.
I heard a stat on the news last night that 62% of the people on unemployment are making more on unemployment than they did when they were working. So
Yeah.
that does not help.
Well, you should not be
that's-
watching Fox News, because I do not.
That was on the normal evening news. I was at my parents' house. So
You did go to BC.
by the way, what color are your campaign signs, Peter?
Good.
Looked like you were trying to go maroon and gold, but you went red and yellow instead.
They show up though.
So does purple.
Purple does, exactly.
And yet you chose red and gold. That's interesting.
Purple's only for Holy Cross.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you. Yeah, so my feeling is that we can get the beautification team and we've got the money. Talent signage project.
Yeah, that kind of fell by the wayside. That's,
The slat signs?
it's not the slat signs. It's like the signs for all the conservation areas. And, it's going to be more of an overarching project. I mean, if this was all I had to focus on was this list, I could get that project done. But
Okay.
that's a huge lift because it involves getting first approval from the Old Kings Highway for the design, because a lot of those signs are going to go north of Route 6.
Yeah.
I don't personally think all the conservation signs need to look exactly the same as the non-conservation signs, but Karen disagrees with me, so it's really stalled. So
Yeah,
there's really no, that's an old bullet point that should be done at some point, but
Right. That's been there before. And again, tell Karen you need a second head and a second set of hands to get all these things done.
yeah.
I just on the comment on conservation, I like the Brewster signs because it says we've done, 10.5 acres, that kind of stuff.
Right.
It gives you an idea of the volume. And a lot of the other towns, it's just, this is a conservation area. And, I think
Dennis has started doing that too, Peter. They've started
Yep.
putting their acreage on their conservation areas.
Very good, very good. Yeah, so yeah, I would leave it up there as a bullet point in my opinion. And again, it's unless you go a second body, I agree, it's not going to go anywhere for the time being. Broadband project Open Cape Fiber. This actually is one of my favorites. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see this done. And if for no other reason, I think Open Cape is much faster than Comcast. And I think it would help the residents because now we would have some competition and maybe we wouldn't see the price increases twice a year that Comcast has put out.
Yeah, I will say I used to, totally agree with you on both of those points, Peter, but Town Hall is hooked into Open Cape. And
Mhm.
I get such terrible internet at Town Hall for the Wi-Fi, and I do not understand that. This is kind of just an aside, but I don't understand why Town Hall's internet is so terrible when we're supposed to be hooked into Open Cape. But we are still working through that one project of trying to hook up municipal buildings to the fiber optic network. And, until we get through that, we won't be able to kind of figure out a next step, but
Okay.
we're still working through that.
Yeah,
But Kyle, is it the actual fiber issue or is it the actual infrastructure in town hall that's the issue?
Probably the latter.
Because I will tell you that at Daniel Webster for a 200-year-old property or 300, however old that property is, almost 300 years old. Next door, the town hall annex has Open Cape Fiber, and we hooked on with it. And at first it wasn't any better, but now that we've improved our infrastructure in the building, we have like lightning broadband. And so a lot of it is the infrastructure in the building.
I think you're 100% right about that.
Peter, I'd just like to comment on this, is that I'd actually like to see this as its own, right now it's a sub point underneath develop a physical improvement plan. At some point, I'd like to see the whole broadband project as its own topic of, as we're looking at all the different topics, because I think without broadband, this town taking the next step and, attracting light industry or whatever we want to call it, other than tourism, is never going to go anywhere. And as a CDC goal, I certainly think that it's something that should be vitally important to all of us. And I'd like to see it as its own topic.
right. I agree. It should be its own topic, but it shouldn't look like we're pushing Open Cape. Because
You can take the Open Cape out of it and just call, broadband or,
Yeah.
fiber to the town, however we want to put it.
Yeah.
I don't care how it happens. It just needs to happen.
well, I know my nephew, when he lived in DC, could get like three different processors on
Mhm.
the internet, including Comcast. His price was about half of what I'm paying here on the Cape, and it was almost twice as fast.
Hmm.
So Comcast has the ability to do this if they want. And I know talking to some retailers, sometimes on a busy weekend, the credit cards will reject because not enough bandwidth.
Yep.
And I love it when I'm watching TV and it says your signal's been interrupted.
I know it, huh?
And I know all of you have seen that because it shows up constantly.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. And we're not on Wi-Fi. We're hardwired to everybody's house. So, there's no excuse for that whatsoever.
Right.
Right. So if nobody has an objection, I agree with Ken. Let's make this a separate item. Kyle,
Yeah.
do you agree?
Yep.
Okay, excellent.
He-
Yes, sir, Steve.
Yeah, so
With that.
I agree with that. So as a replacement for that bullet, I would add the town common in there.
Yep, that's a good idea. Yep.
Sure.
Roger that.
If we're talking about besides the town common, should we also think about the playground on the north side and the the MacArthur Fields too, or is that just too much to chew?
Um,
Not hearing I think it's maybe too much to chew.
Yeah, I would like to get some input from the Parks Department if we could on that.
Yeah.
First, Peter.
All right. Physical improvement list to be I'm assuming you mean to be identified. Yeah, I think that's a great idea to develop a list of what we want to do.
Yeah, I actually think we did have a list. I made this like a year ago when we had an updated list. So I guess I just
Okay.
gotta look at that list to maybe
Yeah,
update it.
yeah, confirm to see if there's anything we want to add and or delete.
Okay.
And again, we've clearly got the drive-in site and evaluate next steps for broadband. And again, we're going to make that as a separate bullet point.
Hey Kyle, did they ever get broadband to the school system too? I know that there was some balking at that. Do you know the answer to that?
I do not know the answer to that. It's a good question. I know that there's some sort of like school rate choice sort of program where you can hook up to broadband for a, economically speaking, but I don't know if they've taken advantage of that yet.
Is that something you could find out without too much trouble?
I don't know who I would ask at the school system. To be honest, my old contact, I would ask Ken Jenks, but I don't know who I talk to now at the school system.
Yeah, Ken probably won't answer his phone, would be
Yeah.
my guess. And he was a real good man. And I apologize for making a joke. It's not nice. Monitor state economic development efforts which may be advantageous to the great town of Yarmouth.
Yeah, this is kind of another kind of just ongoing overarching one. There isn't necessarily like a concrete bullet point for it, but just kind of like keep our eye out for those kind of things.
Yeah, I think we watch for it, and I know when PPP came down, I mean that was not state, that was Uncle Sam, but I think the town did a good job of letting folks know that this was available. Tom, do you have a comment? Tom, you get your hand up? Yes, no?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I was just wondering, I believe a dozen meetings or so ago, I was able to view one of your meetings, and there was a program, the vacant storefront program. And I'm not sure if that falls within your purview of this one, but I'm pretty sure some of the readings I did, it's the state offers some tax credits to the tenants. We have an abundant amount of vacant storefront, and I know it condensed it down by the town center, but we're very unusual. We happen to have a highway that divides our town, so but we do have an area on the north side that is considered a town common. We do have an area on the south side that meets all the amenities where the registry is. I mean, you have restaurants, you have banks, you have shops. And West Yarmouth could develop into something of that, but I know the state had a program out there, and I don't see it on your list of bullet points. So thank you for that time, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, I know the state does have a front door policy of some kind, and I know Hyannis has taken advantage of that policy with some grants and from the state, and also from the town itself for fixing up your front door.
Yeah, just to kind of respond to that, we did look into that program, Tom. I talked with Kathy, and looking at the details, we thought that doing a blight removal would make more sense and be more effective for Yarmouth's issues. So that's what brought up the blight removal discussion. And like I said earlier in the meeting, that's kind of stalled, that we're hoping to maybe pick back up later to talk to Mary about how we could kind of supplement her blight removal program, but that's kind of where it went.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you to town staff. The blight program and the vacant storefront program, I could see a similarity, but when you are giving tax incentives to people to come and occupy those vacant stores, I think it's a little different than some of the blight, because our definition of blight is, as the chairman said, is different. But a vacant store is a vacant store. Now, if you have those stores down by the registry, I don't ever believe that whole plaza's ever been filled. And so, to me, I think there's a difference in the blight in a vacant store. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, it's not to get too, this wasn't on the agenda, so I don't want to get too much into it, but it wasn't about like blight versus vacant storefront. It's about what the vacant storefront program presents, which is like a maximum of $10,000 per business if they have that level of tax liability and da 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 da. So I'll talk to you about it off air, Tom, but we can't really talk about it without it being in the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, to Tom's concern, I think, Tom, in my view anyways, that bullet point, monitor state economic development efforts, which may be advantageous to Yarmouth, includes exactly what you're talking about, but includes other items as well that would attract economic development activity. So I look at that as a bigger, all-encompassing bullet point that brings under its tent, if you will, a lot of other programs that could be of some use to landowners, commercial and/or residential landowners as well.
Okay, PACE program.
Those are just examples. I mean, you guys did already
Yeah.
approve of the PACE program.
Yep.
Right.
And Solarize Mass Plus, I know we discussed that
Yeah.
3 or 4 meetings ago. I think it's a great deal. Any movement on it? Has anything happened on this? Do you know?
I think they picked like their preferred installers. To be honest, I'm not like totally up to speed on exactly what this entails, but they picked the preferred installers and they had a meet the installers event recently. So yeah, it is moving.
Oh, good. Oh, good.
Cool.
Ken, you got a comment?
Nope, I just said good.
Okay.
I think it's a great program.
Where are we? Okay. Examine state ED program on a regular basis for
Yeah.
annual review. And Kyle, you do a great job of keeping us up to date of any new programs coming down from the state and stuff like that. Would it be worthwhile to talk to Julian Sear to see if he's got anything that could help us?
We could invite him. I've never talked to his office. I'm not sure how available he is, but we could invite him to a future meeting, I suppose.
Right. He probably won't come, but some of his staff will probably
Yeah,
come.
I'm sure a staff member would come, Peter.
All right, I can, about what time period would you guys think about that? We'll have him in.
Either.
I think he's not going to be available until post-budgetary timeframe.
Yeah, exactly.
He's on one of the chairs now, of
Right.
one of the state committees, so I'd say, maybe July or August.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I agree.
Probably
We
close
could-
to August because they never finish the budget on time.
Right.
Right.
Post-budget would be my recommendation, because if there's anything new, they'll be able to speak to that with some clarity.
Right.
So, yeah.
And I've talked to his office in the past, and they've been very receptive with answering questions and stuff. So I think he really gives a damn about the Cape.
Mhm.
Evaluate marketing efforts as they relate to attracting residents, visitors, and businesses. That's part of the Chamber of Commerce quarterly update, and try to get, and again, I try to get something on a year-over-year basis and stuff. I don't know how well our marketing efforts have done to attract residents, but I believe that there's a lot more people living on the Cape now, working from home, and see a lot more New York plates floating around here
Yeah.
that are here year round, because people are working. And this goes back to the Open Cape Comcast thing, that if we want to continue to attract these folks and keep them here paying taxes, they need the internet. I got a couple of friends who are architects And if they've got huge files and they're always dealing in huge files, I can hear the French coming out of their ears, waiting for the files to download and upload. And then
Peter, back to your last point about the, annual, I just want to make sure, I actually haven't said that to the chamber yet, but I want to make sure I'm requesting exactly what you're looking for. So you're looking for like a comparison year to year of what exactly?
number of visitors.
Okay, like to their center and stuff?
Yeah, to their center, calls that they've made.
Okay,
And if we can get it year over year delta in room tax revenues and stuff, we should be able to have that.
well, I can get you the rooms tax revenues and stuff, no problem.
Right.
I'm just wondering what you're looking for from the chamber so I can make sure I
Yeah, I
communicate.
mean, from the rooms tax revenue and, actually even from the, do they break it out also by meals tax too, Kyle? Can you
Yep.
get both?
Yep, we can get both.
Because we can get heads and beds and, fannies and seats right out of that just by extrapolating the math, so.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
again, on my year over year comment, and again, it's my comment was to, just so we can show that we're not wasting the money with the chamber. And that sounds harsh, and I don't mean it to sound harsh, but I want to make sure that we can justify the dollars.
Yeah, I guess
Mhm.
I'm just wondering what specific metrics year to year. So it would be like visitors to the center and phone calls and stuff like that.
Yep.
Really, the big thing, Peter, is, from the whole goal from the marketing standpoint, is how many people are staying in Yarmouth and eating in Yarmouth. That's really what it comes down to.
Yep,
Right.
you're right.
Whether somebody stops it could be somebody going in to buy a dump sticker. So this year, their numbers are gonna be up. If you're trying to get people visiting the visitor center, that doesn't really count to me, although it is a service they're providing. But to me, from an economic standpoint of the town, it's their marketing attracting new visitors to the town of Yarmouth.
Yeah, and again, when I was talking to Kyle about this, I was going, 2020 may not be the best base year.
Yeah, you can't use 20. You just write that year off. So where, we compare, at Daniel Webster, we're using 19, calendar year 19 to compare 21 against 19. We've forgotten 20 existed. I'd like to put it behind us. So
I think that's a good comment. Kyle, do you think my thoughts on this are ridiculous, or think it's worthwhile to pursue?
If you want something from the chamber, I can certainly request it. I agree with, it's kind of tough both ways, because if you look at it, just the rooms tax and whatnot, there's so many factors in that. That it's tough to kind of prove cause and effect from that. At the same time, I definitely see what Ken's saying, that like those other numbers that you're requesting from the chamber might not really tell you anything either.
right.
It's really tough to quantify these things. But
But
then
my
again, it
comment to
doesn't
that,
mean we shouldn't try,
no, and Kyle, I agree. But my comment, and I don't want to belabor the point, but the money that we're providing to the chamber is for direct marketing of the town of Yarmouth.
Right.
And that being said, the only thing that we have to base it on is how many people are coming to visit Yarmouth.
Right.
Because
Right.
no offense to the chamber, they're not doing anything about helping to sell homes in Yarmouth. That's just happening because people want out of the cities.
Yeah.
But, people coming to Cape Cod, this year's going to be a banner year. I can guarantee it. And, so we're going to look, the chamber's going to look like heroes this year. But what's that delta look like over a 5-year curve? And are we spending our money wisely, I guess, is what Peter's trying to get to.
Right. I mean, it's almost like you would need to come up with, like, based on the economic conditions of the time, these are the expected number of visitors you would get. How much did we get above that based off of our marketing efforts? But that's like,
That's impossible, because the only way
that's
you're
like
going to get that
quantitative
is,
analysis stuff
Yeah.
that we're not going to do.
yeah, the only way you're going to get that is to go to the private sector and say, what did you budget this year for expected arrivals? I
Right.
mean, every hotel does it, so I know I did it when I was working for Red Jacket, and I know I do it every year for the Catania group. is, that's what you do. You budget against what you think's gonna happen. And you hope you hit your mark.
Yeah, so to your point, I mean, I guess rooms and meals tax is really the best metric. It's not a
Yeah.
perfect one, but
Yeah, I think it's the only way you can do, because, otherwise, Kyle, as you indicated, you'd really have to dig into the numbers and, okay, was there any kind of, was there a gas shortage? Was there this, was there that? Do we have too much rain? All kinds of stuff. So I think the only thing that we can hang our hat on is rooms and meals taxes. And I do believe it's going to be a banner year. A couple of friends of mine rent their houses, and in January and early February, usually what they get are tire kickers. No, they were having people, it's available, I'll take it. So
yeah.
he was fully booked. He was fully booked by the end of February.
Peter, the real estate office that I work for Rand Realty, they do weekly rentals.
Yep.
They're at 98.7% occupancy for the summertime. So, I mean, it's crazy how busy everything's gonna be.
Right.
Yeah, I don't want to hear that, Ken. From a personal standpoint, that's gonna be a lot of traffic I have to deal with.
Yep.
Just remember, Kyle, those people with the New
I
York
know,
plates,
I know,
Pennsylvania plates, keep
I
you
know.
employed.
I know. Okay.
Keep our taxes at a
I
reasonable.
got it, Peter.
All right, okay. And it's now 5:20.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of realizing that I need to be here in order to help, so I'll stay for another 10 minutes, but I do need to leave at 5:30.
And if we don't get through this, I think we're at a loss without Kyle.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Right,
Uh,
so Kyle, if you need to boogie, we can continue this on. Or maybe we could hit a couple of the other items on here, like the minutes. We could do the minutes.
I didn't get you the minutes because I didn't have time
Yeah,
to do
I was gonna say, I don't see them in the packet, so I don't remember reading them.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
could I make a suggestion that that all of us take this, because I think this is vitally important to all of us and to everything we're doing. And I think that we all have kind of different thoughts, or I imagine that we do, on what's important to each one of us. And just a suggestion for, when we're gonna pick this up for the next time.
Yep.
Is maybe we all take this and put down, and, like we do for the grant program, and number what we think is most important to us. And each one of us do that individually and turn it back to you, Peter. And then maybe we can kind of collate this. And the reason I'm thinking it is maybe we're spending so much time on some of this stuff and not enough on other things.
Yeah.
And we don't even know it. You know what I mean?
right. Don't send it to me. Send it to Kyle.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an open meeting violation if you were to
Yeah.
send it direct to me.
Well, yeah, I meant for the next meeting. So to Kyle.
Okay.
I mean, do you have any thoughts on that? If it's even a worthwhile effort or not?
I think it's a very good idea, Ken, just to think about how these goals are organized, and as a perfect example is your suggestion for pulling out the prominence of the broadband. That we all have our own probably insights that are all a little different. I think that's a really a good approach to get our own thoughts down and get them back in, and then see where we land.
And I got my list in my hand.
Yep. I agree with what you guys are saying, and I would only add one other thing, not to keep this thing going forever, but at some point, we could, if we could, marry up what we ultimately decide with it, how that marries up to, Joanne, what you're doing with the update of the master plan.
Yeah.
So we're not at odds with.
No,
Great.
that's a very good point, Steve. In fact, I was going to give a briefing on the survey work we're up to next
Yeah.
on this particular subject, especially economic development.
I have. Did you send this out as a PDF?
What, this packet?
Yeah.
Yes.
can you convert it to a Word document? So
Yeah,
I
it's in Word. I can send it in Word.
Yeah,
Perfect.
just this, because that way, no one wants to see my handwriting.
Yeah, I'll send it out to everybody in Word.
Or mine.
And then we can make some comments, and also if we get a priority list, we also need to look at what we can actually get done.
Right.
And again, promote welfare for both residents and business through various programming. Yeah, that's a wonderful thing, and I'm not deriding that, but I'm gonna pick on this. What does it mean? What can we do? Is that the most important thing? And again, I'm not saying that's good, bad, or indifferent. I think it's a good thing, and I think that's really part of our charter, to be absolutely honest. But what does it mean, and what can we do?
And obviously, if you guys have any additional goals you'd like to see, obviously, feel free to
Yeah.
mention them too.
Right. And Peter, I also felt that the two committee members that aren't here today, it may be a good exercise to get their input too, so.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And Ryan and Mary usually have some very, very good comments. I wouldn't say usually, they always have good comments.
Yeah.
Kyle, I'm feeling that I'm cutting in on your time, and you gotta go. So why don't we? I'm not sure we're going to be able to touch all of this at our next meeting, because it's pretty full.
Yeah, we might need to focus on this at the June meeting, the first meeting in June.
Yeah.
Which would
But
be
if
June.
the sooner you can get comments into Kyle, the better and stuff, and go from there. I think what we need to do, and I'm not trying to rush the meeting, but I know Kyle has his commitments of some kind. Does someone care to make a motion to adjourn, and again, we'll see everybody in 2 weeks?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman,
Dave made a motion. Jack, you have a comment?
Jack, you muted.
Jack, you're on mute. Jack, you're on mute. You gotta unmute yourself. You're still on mute. Kyle, can you as the chair?
No,
I
I
mean,
can't.
You
He's,
can't?
he's working on it.
all right, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
there you go. Now we
Right.
get your melodious voice.
There's a lot of interest in the Blue Sky application for a monopole communications tower on the property that belongs to Our Lady of the Highway on Route 28.
Yeah.
And as the Yarmouth rep to the commission, I've had inquiries from quite a few people, including the chairman of the Board of Selectmen. And he was concerned about the fact that they made a request for a development agreement, which is a little different from a normal DRI. And he wanted to know whether it was to try and circumvent some of the public hearings and so forth. And I reassured him that it did not. And a development agreement gives the commission a little more leeway to do negotiations. And I'm sorry to say that one of the personnel at the commission who is fairly new and wasn't too familiar with the process. Normally, I get all the information right up front, and especially with this project, because it's in Yarmouth, they always try to make sure that the Yarmouth representative gets on the committee. And in most cases, they'll ask if you would chair the committee. So I told them that I would, but outside of that, I didn't get any information until I'm afraid I sent kind of a snarky email to her, and I got a little more cooperation. I got all the application materials and so forth. But I think that Mark Grills emailed me and said that someone was looking to him to give them the application material, and he never had it. So I shipped that off to him, but it's been a little convoluted, but hopefully it'll be straightened out by the time we have the first public hearing, which is the first week in June.
Okay.
Just wanted to convey that information.
How tall of a tower are they thinking about? Is it going to be exposed or is it going to be inside a steeple or?
120 feet. It
Ooh,
won't be, it won't be in the steeple, that's for sure. I think the steeple's only about 15 feet tall.
Yeah, no, the steeple's not very tall. 120 feet. What about fall issues? And meaning, do they have enough room for that?
The, that'll all be decided in the hearings and the process. And a lot of people forget that, you know, once the commission makes a ruling, that does not stop the town from their procedures. I mean, it halts the town from their procedures during the commission's hearings, but once the commission has disposed of it goes right back to the town for their approval.
Okay. Hey, Kyle, if you're still there, can you get this on one of our agendas so we can get updates on this one? Because I think this is important, and if we have more information, we can put our 2 cents in, positive, negative, or sideways.
Yeah.
Which agenda would you like it on?
Anybody can comment, any commission can comment, any
Yeah,
group
well,
can comment. and-
again, right now, we don't have enough information unless I
Oh, of
send you a
course not.
snarky email.
Well, I have to say that Kathy Williams has sent out the full, all 238 pages of the application.
Oh my
And there are about 20 pages that really matter with photographs and a test balloon at 120 feet and also at 90 feet. And it's pretty alarming, I have to say. And it's right in the corner, the southwest corner of the parking lot of Our Lady of the Highway. And very visible from lots of different places. And I think it is going to generate a lot of questions and concerns.
Yeah,
So if Kyle doesn't have access to it, I just got it. And the planning board is intending to make comments on it.
Okay, again, this is not on our agenda, so I don't think
Yeah.
we should go too much further into this. And Steve, I believe, made a motion to adjourn.
Yes,
Is
sir.
there a second?
Second,
Ken made a second. All in favor? Steve, are you in favor?
Aye.
Joanne, are you in
Aye.
favor? Ken, are you in favor?
aye.
Jack, are you in favor?
aye.
And I'm in favor as well. Thank you very much. I think this was